What is up, everybody? It's Connor from Unscripted, back with another video. In today's video, we are talking about Super Week, Day 1, the two matches, one between the Los Angeles Guerrillas and the Florida Mutineers, and the other between the Toronto Ultra and the Atlanta FaZe. And as always, we'll be doing it off the script. But before we get into the recaps, just another reminder to drop a like on the video if you enjoyed, of course, and leave a comment down below with your thoughts on the matches. Subscribe to the channel as well if you like the content that I'm putting out, because there sure will be a lot of it coming out this week. I appreciate all the likes and the comments, just any sort of feedback. It means a lot to me. It helps grow the channel from the ground up, and that's what I'm doing here. So I appreciate all the support. And with that said, let's get right into the recaps. Kicking things off, we have the matchup between the Florida Mutineers and the Los Angeles Guerrillas. So this was definitely a series that I think it's safe to call a must-win for the Florida Mutineers if they want to perform the way that they were expected to perform coming into the season. They came off a tough loss last week at the hands of the Toronto Ultra, and they really needed a win here, because if they lost this game, they pretty much probably would have had to beat both Optic and FaZe to get into the winners bracket of the first major. Obviously, slim odds there, so they really needed this one. And the way it started, man, I'll tell you, it wasn't good. So I predicted a 3-1 victory for Florida, and that is what we got, but it did not come the way I expected. I thought they would lose the search and win all three respawns, but they come out in the hard point on Crossroads, and they lost 250 to 133. You can see from the stats on screen here, not the slaying performance you'd expect from the Florida Mutineers against a team like the Los Angeles Guerrillas. Slacked, tough game for him. I mean, we know he's not a big slayer. Neptune, bad game for him as well. Skies and Awakening, they were both positive. They played okay, but for the most part, Florida was just dominated in this Crossroads hardpoint. They had nothing going for them. I don't think it was ever close. I could be wrong, going off memory, but I don't think it was ever close. Looking on the other side of things, from the Los Angeles Guerrillas, you had Vivid played well. Assault, he was +6. Silly +7. Apathy was negative, but the two that stick out to me were Vivid and Silly for sure. Silly, it seemed like he had quite a few like two pieces, maybe a three piece in there. He won big gunfights when it was needed of him. And Vivid, I mean, look at his engagement, 61 engagements. That's getting it done. He has the most damage on the map of either team, the most engagements of either team. Just a fast-paced game for him for sure, and it made the difference. He was pretty well, as you can see. I mean, look at the SMG scores: Vivid +5 versus Slacked -9 and Neptune -13. So no doubt Vivid was the best SMG on the map in this game, and it showed with his team, the Guerrillas, winning 250 to 133. Not even close against the team who was definitely the better respawn team in this one. There's no doubt about that. Then we move on to the Miami Search and Destroy, and this is one that, when LAG went up 1-0, I was thinking, okay, like, they win this one, and all of a sudden, all they got to do is steal one more map, and they're golden. And they came out, and as you see by the slaying numbers, they were not competitive in this one, at least in the slaying department. They lost the map 6-3. I think it was 3-3. I'm pretty sure that the teams traded rounds before Florida won the last three, but you see in the slaying, it wasn't even close. Awakening, just once again being an absolute stud in Search and Destroy. He was over a 2 KD in their Search and Destroy last week against Toronto. He was over a 2 again in this one. Skies, only 3 deaths. He had a 3.0. Slacked went even. Neptune with a 2.0. I mean, obviously it's only a small sample size, but regardless, it was just a very, very impressive performance from Florida. LAG, on the other hand, what can you say? The best player was 5-7 in Apathy, so not much going for them there for the LAG, but for Florida, it was just an all-around really strong team performance. It was kind of one of those series where, like, nothing crazy happened. It was pretty much, it seemed like there was a 3v1 or a 4v1 every single round, and like, if a team got a first blood, they pretty much weren't choking it away. They were capitalizing and finishing the round. So it was quality Search and Destroy play in that regard, but nothing in terms of crazy plays or anything like that. Just look, I mean, Awakening, he had 3 first bloods, 11 kills, over 2,000 damage, just all around really solid performance from him, and that's what you like to see. And when you look at the first bloods too, 6 first bloods for Florida and 6 round wins. 3 first bloods for LAG, 3 round wins. So just teams winning their first, after they get first blood, they're just trading effectively and winning. I mean, what more can you expect of them? It was quality search play, and it went to the Florida Mutineers. Then moving into the control, shout out to Slacked for this one. He played solid in this, and Awakening, Skies, all of them. I mean, as a team, they played very well. All of them were positive in this, which is what you would expect in a respawn between these two teams, but I thought Slacked was the one making the biggest plays when they were needed most. Skies, of course, is always going to win his one-on-ones. Awakening with the most engagements, the most damage, just another good slaying performance from him. He's quietly becoming one of the best flex ARs in the league. Neptune played well with his SMG, and then you look on the other side for LAG, and not good in the slaying department. Mostly Silly and Apathy really dropping the ball in this one. I thought, Vivid played really well. He was actually 12-6 at one point, I believe, and then he finished 30-30. So he started fast, didn't finish hot, but I mean, still a pretty good game from him. Again, just like the first hard point, most damage, most score, or most engagements on his team. So he's playing well with his SMG, but he does need some more help in the slaying department from his teammates. But yeah, that was a very solid display of slaying from the Florida Mutineers, and it was impressive. I mean, it's what you expected against them going up against a team like LAG who don't have the best slaying power. And then finally, we have the final hard point. I believe LAG won this, or Florida won this 250 to 174. That sticks in my head for some reason. I can't remember offhand, but another one. This was Neptune finally. He picked it up in the slaying department. He led the way. Skies was positive, Wake was even, and Slash was positive. So again, they're winning the slaying battle for sure, but Neptune was the one making his plays in this game. He had a couple of big kills at right times, Situational kills really favored him. For LAG, this was the game. I'm sorry, I had my games mixed up. This was the game where Vivid started 12-6, and look how he finished. He finished negative after that hard start. So this was the one where, he still played fine again, as always, most damage, most engagements on his team, but he did slow down substantially as the game went on, and it showed directly in the score when his team, they fell off. They were winning actually pretty decently towards the middle of the game, but they really fell off towards the end, and it showed, it kind of went with Vivid. If he's hot, they'll be hot. If he's not, they won't be. Again, Philly and Apathy, bad games for them. Just what can you expect when, your two of your guys are getting outslayed that bad? So overall, it was a pretty easy series win for the Florida Mutineers. They improved to 1-1, and LAG falls to 1-2. So that was it for this game. A good showing for Florida Mutineers, and they will look to build on that momentum in their next match. Now we move on to the marquee matchup of the night, really, in my opinion, the Toronto Ultra versus the Atlanta FaZe, a series that the Atlanta FaZe take 3-1. Not a big surprise. I predicted it to be Atlanta FaZe winning 3-2, so I was close, and really Ultra could have easily had two maps in the series. So starting off with the first hard point, it was on Raid. Atlanta FaZe took this one, and it was dicey, 250 to 247. This was about as close of a hard point as you could possibly get. You see the stats on the screen. Atlanta won the slaying by 3. They won the game by 3. Simp was 5 positive. Celium was 1 positive. I mean, they had 2 guys positive. Toronto had just CleanX positive. Just all around, it was a close game. Like I said, it could have went either way. It came down to the Garden Hill in the middle. Ultra could have had it on that. If they had the hill, if they could have had one more round of kills, they would have held the hill and won. And then even when FaZe broke the hill, Ultra had one more chance to break it again. I think it was 247 at that point, and they just couldn't. They had it contested. They got killed, and they ended up giving up the last 3 points. But just a very, very close game. Impressive showing for Ultra, in my opinion, even though they did lose. It was good for them to hang with a team like FaZe and a Respawn, because Search probably their strong suit, but they're no slouches in Respawn, and they showed that in this hard point. So this is also the only game in the series where there was really no standout player, as you'll see here. This was just pretty much straight up just a really close game, and it showed in the score. And then we move into the Search and Destroy, also on Raid. In this game, Ultra took it to them, man. They won a 6-3. They were up 4-0 before FaZe took 2 rounds in a row. FaZe, it went 4-2, and then to go up 5-2, Ultra had it came down to a 1v1. It was Bance versus Abizi. It was 1v2, Abizi versus Bance and Methods, and Abizi was able to take down Methods, and then Bance ended up planting the bomb, ultimately winning the 1-on-1 to push the lead to 5-2. And then in round 8, when it was 5-2, Celium clutched a 1v2. He had 0 kills for a while. He finished with 5, so he did well then, but he clutched a 1v2 to keep it at 5-3, but then in round 9, there was a team kill by Celium that ultimately led to the Atlanta FaZe falling in this one 6-3. So as you can see from the scoreboard, Bance was definitely the standout player from this game. He was everywhere. That's really all you can say about it. He was just making so many plays, 11-5, 1,800 damage. Very impressive score for Search and Destroy. He was just a thorn in FaZe's side the whole game. Abizi, he went 5-8, but he did his thing with First Bloods, but CleanX pretty much matched him. They each had, CleanX had the one advantage in the First Bloods, but they were both kind of just running and gunning like they always do. Simp, he played the best for FaZe for sure. RCDC, he played okay too, but like I said, this map pretty much came down to Bance. He was able to just really put his team on his back for the most part and lead them to victory. Just a strong showing from him, kind of like Awakening earlier. Both of those guys over 2 KD, but Bance was the one in this series, Bance was the one that was really showing out. Move on to another Raid, this time Raid Control. If you're a fan of Raid, you really like the start of this series, and this was all FaZe. Standout player in this map, of course, as you can see, was Simp, 22-9. Just a very strong showing from him. They were just dominant in this hard point or in this control. There was just nothing in that Toronto could do well. Look at their numbers. -6, -3, -3, and -8. So -20 in a kill department overall in the control. Obviously, that's not going to get the job done. So it was ugly for them in this one, no doubt about that. Even when they went up, or when they tied the game 1-1 and they could have won the hard point, they could have been up 2-0. I really didn't think they'd win the series, and then this was pretty much the nail in the coffin. They weren't going to win the series after they got outslated so bad in this raid control. But yeah, there was just nothing they could do. FaZe won their offense. They had the A point over by the pool to capture yet, and they got 4 dead once, and they just quad stacked it, and that was all there was to it. That's all it really takes on that point, just one break pretty much, and you can capture the point. And that's what they did. So good showing from them. Their teamwork was 1 point. Simp, of course, he was the big player, but I mean, look at Abizi +5, Celium +4, all of them. Strong game from them for sure to go up 2-1 in the series. And then finally, the hard point on Garrison. This was not close. It was 250 to 128. It was all FaZe. Standout player in this was definitely Abizi, and not just, his numbers aren't crazy. Obviously, 22 and 14 is very good, but Toronto after the first hill was up like 40-3 or something, and they had the rotation to P2 over on the tank, so they were looking at potentially pushing this to almost a 100-point lead, because when you get set up on that hill, it's pretty hard to break. You can get a full 60 on that hill pretty easily, but Abizi had a big 3-piece on rotation. We saw his 3-piece against Optic that sealed the deal for his team on that Moscow hard point, and it was the same concept here. Obviously, it was earlier in the game, so it didn't show up as directly in the final score, but that was a big 3-piece for sure. He was making plays when needed all game. He led his team in score. High damage, just an all-around good game from him. What can you say? We know how good he is. Him and Simp as their duo. Simp played well too. He played well the whole series. I think he was FaZe's best player throughout the series, and definitely in that control, like I said, and in the search. But in this map, it was Abizi. And for the Ultra, look at Cammy's numbers, not the numbers you wanted to see from him. I was just talking, after last week about how he played so well and he was underrated, and him and Kleenex were a solid duo. But they didn't do a ton in this series for the most part. It was, like I said, it was Bance in the search kind of strapping the team to his back, and then the other 3 maps, those guys, didn't show up near as much. So it was a tough outing for them, but they're definitely a capable team. They showed that in the search and in the first hard point, so they will be around at the middle tier, but towards the top end of the middle tier, in my opinion. They're a very good team. They just ran into an even better Atlanta FaZe team. But yeah, what can you say? Atlanta FaZe takes the series 3-1, and they show that until further notice, they are still considered the best team in the world. I think you have to have them number 1 right now. They just look so strong after they got over that search. They just came out and dominated the raid control, dominated the hard point on Garrison, and they just showed, man, like, we're still here, we're not going anywhere, and we should be the favorites. And I think you have to have them as the favorites. So that wraps up the games. Strong showing from the Atlanta FaZe, strong showing from the Florida Mutineers. They were good games. I'm looking forward to, the rest of the week. There's still 18 games to go, so I will be looking forward to making videos about all of them if I can. But that wraps up this video, so I thank you for watching. Don't forget to drop a like and a comment down below if you enjoyed the video. I would greatly appreciate it. I will see you guys tomorrow, and thank you for watching.